Hey you guys, it's me Thamar again. So today's video is going to be about skin and preferably about being comfortable in your own skin. Specifically, I'm going to talk about my experience, my journey in just finally loving the skin that I'm in, and accepting, my shade, the melanin, because a lot of time dark skinned girls growing up, it's kind of interesting that we all kind of had this similar story of not feeling accepted in society and constantly feeling like we're not good enough for other people, or just not even for ourselves. And I just feel like it's interesting, now this conversation is becoming very, I wouldn't say trendy, but yeah, the conversation is happening a lot more now. And I'm kind of glad that more women and girls are having this talk, because when I was younger, there was nobody really talking about this situation. So let's get into the video. So my skin journey had started ever since I was a kid. I can remember being in elementary school, not so much at that age, but understanding there's kids gravitating towards a certain shade and color, but it wasn't kids were noticing it. I just noticed adults would feed that into kids, and you kind of start seeing it play out in how kids play with each other, whatever. I know at elementary school I kind of had an idea, but I didn't, it wasn't something in my head oh, it's because I'm dark skinned. No, and it wasn't so much to do with that, but I just realized growing up in extended family members and seeing everybody was not obsessing, but you hear little things oh my gosh, her skin is so light and pretty, and hearing things like that here and there. And as a kid, I would hear it, but I never thought anything of it until I got around 5th, 6th grade was when it was really prominent of so there's people who just don't like dark skin, and especially dark skinned girls. And it's at the worst time possible when especially when you're starting middle school. Where I'm from, you start middle school at 6th grade, and having other kids make fun of oh, you so dark and this and stuff like that. And this video is not really to be a victim and make it a woe is me type of thing, because that's not the type of person I am. I'm just strictly trying to recall my experience and how I got from there to who I am today. All right, so I can remember in 6th grade, the beginning of where my insecurities of my skin just started heavily, because I don't know why. I remember because I had all my classes was with, for some reason I would always have classes with the same kids, just a few of us. We all would have majority of our classes together. And so this one kid, him and his friend that was in, he was in another set of classes, but they were best friends, and they would always make fun of me and my skin color, literally any chance they got. I would hear oh, Thamar, you're dark like midnight, and oh, the light, if if somebody turns off the lights, you'll hear oh, where'd you go, stupid jokes like that. So it was started teasing and stuff like that. And for me, normally I would be okay, whatever. if it's like one or a few times, but like this was like an everyday thing. Like at least once a day I would hear a joke about my skin color. And for me, I, as a sixth grader, I never like dealt with like somebody like teasing me to a point where it's kind of like bullying in a sense, like just constantly bothering me about it, that I just didn't know how to handle it, because I'm a naturally just shy, reserved person. Especially at that age, I was like not the first person to like go out there and talk to people. But it was interesting because I did have my best friend, and she's light skinned, and I never like cared about it at then, but I did notice like, you know, a lot of the boys would be like, oh my gosh, she's so pretty, she's so pretty, and she is. But then I would notice like a lot of times the black boys mostly would like fetishize like, oh, how light she was. And I found that was like kind of weird, because I was like, I didn't know that was a thing. But then I noticed for me and other dark skinned girls, like they will always get made fun of or just be told like they're ugly or like their hair's not pretty. And for me at that age, my hair, I would always, I think I didn't have, no, I had my hair perm, but I always had it in braids and had that new growth, whatever. So my hair was like in braids or something, or bun or whatever, and that was it. But like, you know, her hair, like she had her hair perm a lot, but it was like nice and straight, and it was like shoulder length. It was like a cute cut, like, yeah. So I just noticed, and a little bit part of me like over time would just be like, like not like a sense of jealousy, but just more like, wow, like, you know, why do I get picked on so much about just something that I don't have control over? I don't have control over how melanated I am, you know. But at the time I just didn't understand that. So fast forward, you know, to like 8th grade, because after that it kind of started like making me more insecure about myself. And in 7th grade it wasn't like that crazy of a year. It was like other drama. But like definitely like most like 8th grade was when I started, because at the time like I always had crushes on, sorry, somebody just texted me. I always had my crushes when I was a kid. I would always like had crushes on black guys like that looked like me, like, you know, that just was the norm. I never like grew up seeing people dating outside their race too much. The most I would see it was like black and Hispanic people, and that's about it. I never seen like, you know, but like 8th grade was where, you know, I just started noticing like, you know, all the guys that I would have crushes on, and they were all black, but like all the time they would be like, oh, like I like white girls, or I like Hispanic girls. And like for me, I was like, oh, okay, like I didn't think too much about it, but I was like, dang, like all of y'all like that. And like, so it, to me, it just kind of was like, okay. And especially when you're like in your preteen age, you're kind of like very like, you want to be liked, you want to feel desired, you want to make friends, you want to fit in. And I just felt like for me, like, one, I'm already like super shy, so that's already like hard for me to make friends. I had my friends, like a small group of friends, but like on top of that, like, you know, with boys and stuff, it was just kind of like not so much. And plus I got like Haitian parents, so gotta maneuver around that, if you know what I mean. But yeah, like I just remember like seeing that was like a pattern. And then a part of me kind of would get annoyed, like, ugh, like another one, really. I didn't see so much of like people, like I just saw a lot of like that. And then I would always see like, you know, if a guy would go for a dark skinned girl, it was always overly sexual. Like, so I had a friend of mine who, you know, she had it going on. She got the curves, she got the body, real young and blessed, you know. And all the time it was like, if guys will like go up to her, especially like black guys, like they would be like, oh, like they'll say things very like dirty, like, oh, she has uh I don't really like to curse like that, but she had,
you know, like penis sucking lips.
but you know the other word. And hearing things like, oh, she got a fat butt and all of that stuff. And for me, I just felt like, okay, like it was just always a thing. Like even other friends of mine that I saw, and like they would just get over sexualized. And then especially for young girls at that age, like, you know, a lot of times girls tend to like dress a little bit too sexy, you know, just to impress guys. And I just felt like I just seen that with a lot of girls, but like specifically for dark skinned girls, it was like, okay, like a majority of the time boys were always interested if for them for sex, and if they had the right body like that, they got the butt, the boobs, whatever, like then they were like a target, like, oh, like they're just looking for a good time. Whereas who would they make their girlfriends was some Hispanic girl, white girl, like some of them didn't even have, they were skinny and they didn't have like a big butt like me. I didn't have a big butt, so they wasn't checking for me. Yeah. I had the skin or the body type, you know, for most of them. So they weren't checking for me like that, like here and there. But at that age, my parents didn't allow me to date, so you know. But I'm a very observant person, so I would just like look and like see and observe and just see how like people deal with each other. And that was one thing I really noticed at that age. And it kind of made me, on top of that, being insecure about like, okay, like I don't have the right skin shade, but then on top of that, I don't have the right body type for the guys that I tend to have a crush on. And some of them were nice, some of them were like real jerks, whatever. But like it was just noticeable, like, okay, like that fed like an insecurity, like, okay, like within me, just noticing like, okay, people gravitate towards that and whatever. And then hearing and seeing like girls that were lighter, like you could see like they were more confident, like in public they showed they were confident. I don't know how it is for them at home personally, because I know every girl has some sort of insecurity that they deal with. But like at school, it was just like they knew they got it going on. And that was something I was like, wow, it must be like kind of nice to like feel like that, or to be the most desired or whatever. So I remember like even going into high school, I don't know, it was just like just very like noticed. And then it just got even more worse, where it was no more like bullying and stuff like that anymore. I feel like all of that got like out of some people's system in middle school. But like in high school, it was more like hearing, you know, all the time like, oh, like hearing people say, oh,
dark skinned girls are ugly, they're this, they're ghetto. And if I would date a black girl, she has to be light. Can't be darker than.
Like I remember there was a time where I've overheard two boys talking, and like one of them pointing at me saying like, oh, well, I won't date a girl dark like her. And I saw they were pointing at me, and it was just like, wow, whoa, I didn't want to be your example, but dang. But like, you know, but that was something that I've noticed. And that's just a little bit of what I've dealt with like in my adolescence years. It wasn't until I got to college, really, like where I started to more accept who I was. But it took a long process during that time for me to get there because of so many years of carrying all the insecurities and thinking like I wasn't good enough, like, and also like within like my family, like just the things that people get brainwashed to think. Like I remember hearing like sometimes like, you know, hear a cousin be like, oh well, no darkies, no not, like, you know, like hearing stuff like that like from people that you know, and it just makes you more like, oh, like dang, like everybody feels like that, like no darkies, only want light-skinned dudes and only light-skinned girls, and like hearing like, oh, why don't you like use this cream, it will help lighten your skin. Like I had like people offer that to me, and then I would start thinking like maybe I should start doing it. Luckily I didn't, but because I didn't want to like damage my skin. But it was something so real, like people really, I would see other people that would use bleaching creams and soap and really like use it so much, and they're hurting their skin, but like it's just because of this insecurity of that been pushed on them from society saying you're ugly, you're not desired, use this to change who you are. And I guess like once I got to college and stuff, like it's kind of weird. I kind of like went through my adolescence just thinking I was ugly, like, but not in like a, oh, I'm so ugly. I just didn't like think so much about my looks so much. I started to get to a point like, yeah, I would try to dress up and be cute. By the end of the day, it's kind of hard to explain like my mindset then. Like, yes, I cared, how I look, whatever, but at the same time, I would not look into mirrors as much. Didn't care to. I was just like, what was the point? It was just a constant like feeling like throughout my adolescence. So going to college and learning more about myself and just opening my options more. I think when I got more into like my junior year, senior year, did I think about more of, maybe like if expanding to not just one type of race and just opening up to every race. It was weird for me because I felt like in my family, like I never see anybody like that in my family, and I felt like my family would kind of like judge me if I did bring somebody that was not of our ethnicity or whatever. Not like if they were racist or anything, but like just because they didn't understand different cultures that much, so it would just be kind of awkward. So it just got, so in college, just kind of be more comfortable with myself and focusing more on building up myself. And what helped me a lot was really my faith in God too, on top of that, because that kept me going through a long time. Because I'm probably get more into it more in a different video, but like my adolescence was very, very dark mentally for me, and a lot of times people don't talk about, you know, the mental health of young black girls and women, or just black women in general, and all the weight that we carry with us. And yeah, I'll go in more depth about, you know, my mental health journey in a sense. I don't know if that's what you call it. And how, you know, me not accepting, like being comfortable in the skin that I'm in, and also the pressures of just life. Just like it feels like the end of the world, you know, like having my faith in God kind of just helped me to accept myself more and understand there's more to me, and that I am beautiful, and like see more examples of other girls embracing it. I remember like senior year of high school was when I started to go natural and just transition my hair, and then from then on I was just natural from that day. Like I didn't want to go back. I started accepting myself. I think me going natural really did help me to love myself and to love my hair, because that's another issue on top of that, like your hair texture. Like wishing I had, you know, the quote unquote good hair, but never truly like understanding that I do have good hair as long as it's healthy. Now I know that, but back then I didn't. And I kind of like now make it like, I don't know, a mission of mine. Like just seeing like any young girl, but mostly a beautiful black girl, especially dark skinned black girls, to understand to love themselves. And I'm so glad like that they have YouTubers like Chrissy and like Paris Milan and Ayumi Loho, like just a lot of, and just many more that I watch and stuff, and just seeing like people just speak about, you know, these issues that it wasn't that comfortable to talk about back then, because everybody would look at you like you're crazy, like, oh, you're making this stuff up, nobody really thinks like that, you know. But when reality, like, yes, they do. And I felt so like alone, because in my family, like, well, in my group of, in my generation, like my cousin stuff, I'm like the darkest one in our age group, so I always felt literally like a black sheep in my family. On top of that, me having a different thinking and wavelength than everybody else, but also like feeling like, oh, I'm the one who's dealing with this type of insecurity of the effects of what colorism does, and nobody to talk to. And like, I feel like, I think that's why it's important to just, if to open up about your own story and just kind of like look and reflect on like, wow, like if somebody who just knew and would just say and tell me like, you know, don't sweat it, like you are beautiful, like those people are idiots and they don't understand, they're ignorant themselves, and they're being fed by the media and society of like to think this way. And I honestly feel like now I want to be that person for other people in a lot of things. So yeah, so that is pretty much kind of like my journey of how it kind of started. I know it's kind of like on the surface, but I probably go more into depth because I don't want to make the video like super long. But yes, there'll be more from me maybe about this topic. If you do like this topic and are interested, let me know. Comment down below, like and subscribe. See ya.